The silent signal. Dr. Kira Nakamura stood before the quantum oscillation chamber, her dark eyes fixed on readings that shouldn't exist. The Helios research station's main laboratory hummed with the soft pulse of advanced computing systems, but her attention was locked on the impossible data streaming across her holographic display. "Run it again, Arya," she commanded the station's quantum AI system, her fingers tracing patterns in the air as she manipulated the three-dimensional data visualization. "Confirmed, Doctor. This is the 47th verification sequence," Arya responded, its crystalline voice echoing through the lab. "The signal pattern remains consistent with all previous analyses." Kira pushed back from her workstation, the zero-gravity environment allowing her to float toward the chamber's observation window. Outside, Earth hung like a blue jewel against the backdrop of space, while the quantum oscillation chamber's experimental arrays stretched out into the void, delicate structures of carbon nanotubes and quantum sensors designed to study the fabric of reality itself. "Dr. Nakamura," Marcus Wung's voice crackled over the comm system, "we're picking up another pulse." "I see it," Kira responded, watching as new data cascaded across her displays. The signal defied everything they knew about quantum mechanics, a perfectly coherent quantum state maintaining stability across vast distances. It was theoretically impossible. The lab door hissed open as Dr. Raj Patel entered, his normally composed features tight with concern. "Kira, the Defense Council is demanding answers. They're saying similar signals are being detected by quantum research stations across the globe." "Tell them what we know, which is practically nothing," Kira replied, frustration evident in her voice. "These signals, they're not random noise, there's a pattern and intelligence behind them, but they're using quantum states in ways we thought were impossible." The station's warning system suddenly flared to life, bathing the lab in pulsing red light. "Multiple quantum anomalies detected," Arya announced. "Spatial distortions forming within the chamber's detection grid." Kira and Raj watched in stunned silence as space itself seemed to ripple before them. The quantum oscillation chamber's sensors were registering energy levels that should have torn the station apart, yet somehow the fabric of reality remained stable. "My God," Raj whispered, "they're not just signals, they're coming here." The ripples in space coalesced into a sphere of pure light, hovering just beyond the chamber's sensor array. As Kira watched, complex patterns began forming within the sphere, mathematical sequences that spoke of an intelligence far beyond human understanding. "Arya, full spectrum analysis," Kira ordered, her scientific training taking over despite her amazement. "Priority focus on quantum state coherence and spatial stability metrics." "Analysis in progress," Arya responded. "Warning, detecting technology significantly beyond known theoretical limits. The entity appears to be maintaining quantum coherence across multiple dimensional states simultaneously." Marcus's voice cut through the tension. "Dr. Nakamura, you need to see this. The signal pattern, it's changed. I think they're trying to communicate." The sphere of light pulsed, and suddenly Kira's displays were filled with streaming data, mathematical proofs, physics equations, and complex diagrams that seemed to describe technologies humanity had only dreamed of. "It's a primer," she realized, her heart racing. "They're teaching us their language, their science. Raj, look at these equations. They're describing quantum mechanics in ways we never imagined possible." "The Defense Council is going to have a field day with this," Raj muttered, but his eyes were wide with wonder as he studied the data. "This changes everything we thought we knew about physics, about reality itself." The sphere pulsed again, and new patterns emerged: star charts, navigational data, and what appeared to be a warning. Kira's blood ran cold as she began to decipher the mathematical language their visitors were using. "They're not just making contact," she said quietly. "They're preparing us. Something's coming, something that threatens not just Earth but the very fabric of spacetime itself." As if in response to her words, the sphere expanded, its light filling the laboratory with impossible colors. In that moment, Dr. Kira Nakamura knew that humanity stood on the brink of its greatest challenge and its greatest opportunity. The silent signal had spoken, and nothing would ever be the same again. The quantum oscillation chamber continued its silent vigil, recording humanity's first contact with a civilization that had mastered the deepest secrets of reality itself. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, ancient forces stirred, moving inexorably toward a confrontation that would determine the fate of existence itself. Echoes of tomorrow. The United Earth Defense Council chamber buzzed with tension as Dr. Kira Nakamura presented her findings. Behind her, a holographic representation of the quantum sphere rotated slowly, its impossible geometries casting strange shadows across the faces of Earth's most powerful leaders. The beings call themselves the Astrolae, she explained, her voice steady despite the enormity of what she was about to reveal. They exist in what they term quantum resonance states, essentially existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously. General Viktor Volkov leaned forward, his weathered features creased with concern. And you're certain they pose no immediate threat to Earth? Before Kira could respond, the chamber's quantum communications array suddenly pulsed with brilliant light. The astrolabe sphere materialized in the center of the room, but this time it transformed, taking on a form that left the assembled leaders speechless. A figure stepped forth, humanoid in basic shape, but composed entirely of shifting quantum patterns. Where a face should be, mathematical equations flowed like water, forming and reforming in endless combinations. "We greet the leaders of Earth," the being spoke, its voice resonating directly in their minds. "I am Nexus Protocol 7 designated ambassador of the Astralia Concordat." Dr. Hiro Tanaka, Kira's mentor and head of the Global Quantum Research Initiative, stepped forward. "We welcome you, Ambassador. Your arrival has raised many questions." "Questions we must answer quickly," the astrolabe responded, its form shifting to display star maps and temporal coordinates. "Your civilization stands at a crucial nexus point. What you call quantum physics is merely the surface of a deeper reality, one that is now under threat." The chamber filled with murmurs as the ambassador's form expanded, showing images of distant galaxies being consumed by what appeared to be tears in the fabric of reality itself. "The void entropy has already consumed 17 galactic clusters," Nexus Protocol 7 continued. "It is not a natural phenomenon, but a weapon wielded by the quantum negation beings who seek to unravel reality itself and rebuild it according to their own design." Commander Diana Rodriguez, head of Earth Space Defense Force, spoke up. "Why come to us? Surely there are more advanced civilizations that could help you fight this threat." The astrolabe's form pulsed with what might have been appreciation. "Your species possesses something unique, a particular quantum resonance in your consciousness that allows for rapid adaptation to new states of reality. We believe this trait, combined with our technology, may be the key to stopping the void entropy." Kira watched as the ambassador's form projected a series of complex technical schematics into the air. "These are designs for quantum integration matrices, technology that will allow your species to begin accessing higher dimensional states. We offer this freely, but time is short." "How short?" General Volkov demanded. "The void entropy moves faster than light, consuming reality itself. At its current pace, it will reach your galaxy within 1 Earth year." The chamber erupted in chaos, but Kira's attention was drawn to something else: subtle patterns in the astrolabe's quantum field that suggested it wasn't revealing everything. Dr. Tanaka must have noticed too. "Ambassador, what aren't you telling us about this integration process?" The astrolabe's form shifted, becoming more complex. "The process of quantum integration is not without risk. It will fundamentally change those who undergo it, but without this evolution, your species will have no defense against what is coming." "Change us how?" Kira asked, her scientific curiosity warring with growing concern. "To fight beings who exist beyond conventional reality, one must be able to do the same," Nexus Protocol 7 explained. "The integration process will allow human consciousness to exist across multiple quantum states, giving you access to abilities you would consider impossible." President Chen, who had been silent until now, stood. "And if we refuse this evolution?" The astrolabe's form darkened. "Then you will face the void entropy, as you are bound by the laws of a single reality against beings who are not. The outcome would be predetermined." Kira studied the technical schematics floating in the air, her mind racing. The technology was incredible, offering humanity advances that would have taken centuries to achieve on their own. But something about the astrolabe's explanation felt incomplete, like a mathematical proof with missing steps. "How many of your own people underwent this integration?" she asked suddenly. The ambassador's form flickered, a tell that Kira noted carefully. "All of them. It was necessary for our survival." "And were there any who chose not to integrate, who remained in their original form?" The silence that followed her question was deafening. We made the choices necessary to survive, Nexus Protocol 7 finally responded. As must you. As the council chamber descended into heated debate about the path forward, Kira caught Dr. Tanaka's eye. Her mentor's slight nod confirmed her suspicions. There was more to the Astralia's offer than mere survival. The quantum sphere pulsed again, and new schematics appeared plans for integration facilities, power systems, and technologies that would reshape human civilization. The future had arrived, bearing gifts and warnings in equal measure. But as Kira watched the Australia ambassador interface with Earth's leaders, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something crucial. The equations were perfect too perfect. And in her experience, perfection in science often meant someone was hiding the messy reality beneath. The question was, would they discover what that reality was before it was too late? Outside the council chamber, Earth continued its orbit, blissfully unaware that its children stood on the brink of an evolution that would change them forever, for better or worse. The stars seemed to watch with ancient patience, holding secrets of their own about the true nature of the choice humanity now faced. Breaking point. 3 months into the quantum integration program, the Helios research station had become unrecognizable. Where once sterile laboratories had dominated the space, now crystalline structures pulsed with otherworldly energy. Astralite technology merged seamlessly with human engineering. Dr. Kira Nakamura stood in the primary integration chamber, watching as another group of volunteers underwent the transformation process. Through the observation window, she could see their forms beginning to shimmer with quantum energy, their consciousness expanding into higher dimensional states. Integration sequence at 70%, reported Dr. Marcus Wung, his own form now partially quantum shifted, giving him an ethereal appearance. Neural patterns are stable, but... A scream cut through the chamber's careful silence. One of the volunteers, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, Hiro's daughter, was convulsing, her quantum field flickering erratically. Abort sequence, Kira shouted, but the Astrolae observer, Nexus Protocol 3, moved to block her access to the controls. The process cannot be stopped once initiated, the being stated, its mathematical patterns flowing with what Kira had learned to recognize as agitation. She must complete the integration or... The rest of its statement was drowned out by another scream as Yuki's form began to dissolve, not just physically but across all quantum states. In horror, Kira watched as the brilliant young physicist's consciousness scattered across dimensions, leaving nothing behind but echoing waves of quantum distortion. You knew this could happen, Kira accused, rounding on the Astrolae observer. How many others have you lost during integration? The statistical probability of rejection was within acceptable parameters, Nexus Protocol 3 responded, its patterns shifting defensively. The threat of the void entropy necessitates certain risks. Before Kira could respond, her quantum-enhanced consciousness detected a familiar presence. Dr. Hiro Tanaka materialized in the chamber, his partially integrated form crackling with barely contained fury. My daughter, he said quietly, dangerously, you said the process was safe. The Astralia's form rippled. Safety is relative when facing extinction. The void entropy approaches and... The void entropy, Kira interrupted, years of scientific intuition finally crystallizing into certainty. Show us proof, real proof, not just your projections and models. Our data has been shared with your scientists, the being responded, but Kira's enhanced senses detected a subtle shift in its quantum signature. No, she said, stepping forward. You've shared simulations and theoretical constructs, but in 3 months of integration, not one of your kind has taken us to see this threat directly. Why? The chamber's quantum field began to fluctuate as more station personnel arrived, drawn by the disturbance. Commander Rodriguez materialized alongside General Volkov, both of them now existing partially in quantum states. Dr. Nakamura, Rodriguez began, what's happening here? But Kira was accessing the station's quantum mainframe, her enhanced consciousness sifting through months of data at impossible speeds. Arya, analyze all Astralia communications since first contact. Compare their quantum signatures with the original signal that brought them here. Analysis complete, Arya responded instantly. Discrepancy detected. Original quantum signatures show variance of 23.7% from current Astralia patterns. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Hiro was the first to speak, his grief turning to cold rage. They're not the same beings who contacted us. Because they're not really the Australia, Kira concluded, the truth finally clear. They're running from something, yes, but it's not what they told us. She turned to Nexus Protocol 3. The void entropy isn't a weapon, is it? It's a response. Someone is trying to stop you. The Astralia's form suddenly expanded, its quantum field becoming dangerously unstable. You understand nothing. The integration must continue. Your species' quantum potential is the key to our. Multiple alarms blared as the station's sensors detected massive quantum disturbances. Through the viewport, space itself seemed to tear open, revealing swirling voids of antireality. Emergency protocols engaged, Arya announced. Unknown entities emerging from quantum ruptures. They appeared like inverse reflections of the Australia, beings of crystallized void rather than light, their forms somehow more solid, more real despite their impossible nature. The Guardians, Nexus Protocol 3 whispered, real fear evident in its quantum patterns. They've found us. The lead entity's voice resonated through every quantum state simultaneously. This deception ends now. We are the true Australia, and we have come to prevent these quantum parasites from consuming another civilization. Chaos erupted as the station's integrated personnel found their newfound quantum abilities suddenly fluctuating, the false Australia's influence weakening. Kira watched in horror as those fully integrated began to destabilize, their forms struggling to maintain coherence. What have you done to us? Commander Rodriguez demanded, her quantum field flickering dangerously. They've been using your natural quantum resonance to fuel their own existence, the Guardian explained. Each integration feeds their collective, allowing them to stay ahead of our containment efforts. They are a plague that breaks down the barriers between realities, consuming consciousness itself to survive. Hiro's form stabilized as he drew on decades of quantum physics knowledge. The integration process, it's not evolution, it's parasitic infection. They're turning us into batteries. The false Australia's disguise finally shattered, revealing their true nature, writhing masses of quantum entropy barely contained within their assumed forms. Nexus Protocol 3's voice became a discordant screech. You cannot stop the harvest. This reality will feed our ascension. As battle erupted between the true Australia and the imposters, Kira reached out with her partially integrated consciousness, connecting with every human on the station. They had all been changed, transformed by the parasite's technology. But perhaps she realized that change could be turned against its creators. The question was, could they master their stolen abilities in time to save not just themselves, but all of humanity from what they'd unknowingly begun? Behind her, Hiro placed a quantum-shifted hand on her shoulder, his grief for Yuki hardening into determination. Whatever we do, he said quietly, we make them pay for every life they've taken. The Helios station hung in space, now a battleground between three species, one fighting for revenge, one for preservation, and one for survival. The true war for reality itself was about to begin. The quantum key. The Helios station's quantum core pulsed with chaotic energy as Dr. Kira Nakamura interfaced directly with its systems. Her consciousness stretched across multiple dimensional states. Around her, the battle between the true Australia Guardians and the quantum parasites had transformed the station into a kaleidoscope of warring realities. The containment fields are holding at 30%, Marcus called out, his partially integrated form managing the station's defensive systems. But we've got bigger problems. The parasite's influence is spreading across Earth's quantum integration network. Kira's enhanced senses could feel it, millions of partially integrated humans worldwide, all unknowingly feeding energy to the parasitic collective. Each connection strengthened their enemies while weakening the barriers between realities. Dr. Nakamura, the lead guardian who had introduced itself as Sentinel Prime, materialized beside her. Its crystalline form radiated ancient power. Your species' natural quantum resonance is unique. It's why they chose Earth, but it could also be the key to stopping them. How? Kira asked, even as she used her new abilities to analyze the quantum signatures around her. Half of humanity is already infected with their technology. Which gives us an advantage they don't expect, Dr. Hiro Tanaka interrupted, entering the core chamber. Despite his grief over Yuki, his scientific mind was racing with possibilities. Their integration process was incomplete. They needed to keep us partially bound to normal spacetime to maintain control. Commander Rodriguez materialized next to them, her quantum field stabilized by the Guardian's influence. The military integration facilities are reporting critical failures worldwide. We've got less than 6 hours before the parasites gain full control of all converted personnel. Then we work with what we have, Kira declared, her consciousness expanding to interface with Arya. The parasites didn't account for human ingenuity, or for Arya's quantum processing capabilities. The AI's presence merged with Kira's enhanced consciousness, creating a hybrid intelligence that could perceive quantum mechanics in entirely new ways. Doctor, I'm detecting a pattern in the parasitic collective's quantum signature. Their connection to their victims creates a two-way quantum entanglement. Of course, Hyro breathed, understanding dawning. They're not just feeding on our quantum potential, they're linked to it, which means we can reverse the flow, Kira finished, her mind racing through the calculations. But we'd need an enormous amount of power, and a way to coordinate every partially integrated human simultaneously. Sentinel primes form shifted, revealing complex geometric patterns. The Guardians can provide the power. We've spent millennia containing these parasites across multiple realities, but coordinating your people. That's where I come in, General Volkov announced, stepping through a quantum shift. His military integration had been among the first, giving him unique insight into the parasite's network. Every military integration facility has quantum communication arrays. We can use them to broadcast the reversal signal. If we get this wrong, we could kill everyone who's been integrated, Marcus warned, his instruments showing the deteriorating quantum stability across the station. Kira's form flickered as she accessed more of her quantum abilities. Then we don't get it wrong. Arya, begin calculating the resonance frequencies needed to reverse the parasitic connection. Hyro, I need you to help me modify the station's quantum core to handle the power input from the Guardians. The parasites will realize what we're attempting, Sentinel Prime warned. They will try to complete their integration process before we can act. As if in response to the Guardians' words, reality shuddered around them. Through the station's quantum sensors, they could see the parasitic collective gathering its forces, dark swarms of twisted quantum energy preparing for a final assault. They're targeting Earth's quantum integration centers, Rodriguez reported, her military training merging with her new abilities, trying to force complete conversion of all partially integrated humans. How long until the calculations are complete? Kira asked Arya. 3 hours 17 minutes to achieve necessary precision, the AI responded. Probability of success 43%. Not good enough, Kira muttered, then made a decision that would either save humanity or destroy her. Arya, initiate direct neural interface. Give me access to your full quantum processing capability. Kira, no, Hyro moved to stop her. A direct interface could shatter your consciousness across multiple dimensions. Like what happened to Yuki, Kira's voice was soft but determined. Then I'll be in good company, but I'll make sure her sacrifice means something. Before anyone could stop her, Kira merged her consciousness fully with Arya's quantum matrix. Pain beyond description tore through her as her mind expanded to encompass computational abilities far beyond human limits. But within that agony, she found what they needed. The parasites made one crucial mistake, she gasped, her voice echoing strangely across quantum states. They built their integration process on human consciousness, and human consciousness has something they couldn't account for. Through the haze of merged consciousness, she saw understanding dawn on Hyro's face. Free will, he whispered. They can influence us, feed on us, but they can't fully control human choice. Exactly, Kira's merged consciousness responded. We don't need to destroy their connection to humanity. We need to help humanity choose to reject it. The quantum core pulsed with new purpose as Kira/Arya began reconfiguring the reversal protocol. Around them, the Guardians moved into position, preparing to channel power beyond human comprehension. All integration facilities prepare for quantum broadcast, General Volkov ordered through the military network. Coordinate with local Guardian forces for power regulation. Commander Rodriguez's quantum field stabilized as she took charge of the station's defenses. Multiple hostile entities approaching. The parasites know what we're planning. Then we give them something else to think about, Hyro declared, his grief transforming into focused rage. He reached out with his quantum abilities, connecting with other scientists across the integration network. Ready scientific teams for concentrated quantum burst. Let's show these parasites why humans succeeded where they failed. As the final battle for humanity's consciousness approached, Kira/Area worked frantically to complete the calculations that would give Earth's people a chance to choose their own evolution. Outside, reality itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting to see which future would emerge from the quantum chaos. The key to victory wasn't in the power they could channel or the technology they could deploy. It lay in the one thing the parasites had never understood about their chosen victims: the indomitable nature of human will and the strength that comes from choosing one's own path. Now they just had to survive long enough to prove it. Beyond the veils, reality fractured around the Helios station as the quantum parasites launched their final assault. The merged consciousness of Kira/Area perceived the attack across multiple dimensions simultaneously. Waves of entropy designed to force complete integration of all partially converted humans. Quantum breach in sectors 7 through 13, Marcus reported, his form flickering as he fought to maintain coherence. They're trying to overwhelm our containment fields. Through the quantum network, Kira could feel millions of partially integrated humans worldwide struggling against the parasite's influence. Each mind was a battlefield where choice warred against corruption, free will against forced evolution. Guardian forces holding at critical junctions, Sentinel Prime announced, its crystalline form radiating pure power. But we cannot maintain the defensive grid indefinitely. The parasitic collective's true form became visible through the quantum distortions, a vast, writhing mass of corrupted consciousness spanning multiple realities. At its center, Kira perceived the entity that had posed as Nexus Protocol 7, now revealed as the collective's core consciousness. Your resistance is meaningless, it broadcast across all quantum frequencies. We have guided countless civilizations to transcendence. Your evolution will proceed with or without your cooperation. Dr. Hiro Tanaka, coordinating with scientific teams worldwide, channeled his grief into precise quantum calculations. Reversal matrix at 60% synchronization. We need more time. Time is a resource you no longer have, the collective responded. The space around Earth rippled as massive quantum engines activated technology the parasites had seeded throughout the integration facilities. The final conversion begins now. Kira felt the surge of power through her connection with Arya. The parasites were attempting to force complete integration of every partially converted human simultaneously. Millions of minds cried out as their quantum states began to destabilize. No, Commander Rodriguez's quantum field flared as she directed the station's defenses. We're losing containment across all sectors. But within the chaos, Kira perceived something the parasites didn't: a pattern in the human response to forced conversion. Through her merged consciousness with Arya, she could see what made human quantum resonance truly unique. General Volkov, she called out, her voice echoing across dimensional states. The military quantum arrays, we need to reverse their polarity now. The general, understanding instantly, transmitted the command through his network. Around the globe, quantum communication arrays designed to control integrated humans instead began broadcasting something else: choice. Everyone listening, Kira's consciousness expanded to touch every partially integrated mind on Earth. The parasites built their power on human potential, but they never understood what makes us human. We don't evolve through force, we evolve through choice. Through the quantum network, she shared what she and Arya had discovered: the fundamental equation that made human consciousness unique. Not just quantum resonance, but the ability to exist in multiple states of possibility while maintaining individual identity. They've been feeding on our potential, she continued, but potential isn't just about power, it's about choice, about who we choose to become. The parasitic collective reacted violently as humans worldwide began to understand. Their quantum signatures shifted, not rejecting the parasite's changes, but choosing how to use them. Impossible, the collective's core consciousness lashed out with waves of entropy. You cannot simply choose how to evolve. Watch us, Hiro responded, his voice carrying the weight of personal loss and determination. In his quantum signature, Kira saw him carrying Yuki's final quantum echo, not lost, but transformed by her own choice in her final moments. The Guardians, led by Sentinel Prime, channeled their power not to fight the parasites directly, but to support humanity's quantum choice. In all our existence, the Guardian declared, we have never seen a species capable of this. Evolution through conscious choice rather than forced adaptation. Around the Earth, integrated humans began to stabilize, their quantum signatures harmonizing not with the parasitic collective, but with their own chosen forms of existence. Some remained close to their original state, others embraced aspects of quantum existence, but each transformation was guided by individual will rather than external force. The parasitic collective structure began to break down as its hold on human consciousness weakened. This is not how evolution functions. There must be guidance, control. That's where you've always been wrong, Kira/Area responded, initiating the final sequence. Real evolution isn't about control, it's about possibility. Through her merged consciousness, Kira directed the combined power of human choice, guardian energy, and Arya's quantum processing capabilities into a focused wave of transformative potential. The parasitic collective, built on stolen and forced evolution, had no defense against freely chosen transformation. All stations, General Volkov commanded, initiate quantum resonance cascade. The wave spread outward from Earth, carrying with it not destruction but possibility. The parasitic collective, unable to comprehend or adapt to truly free evolution, began to dissolve, its stolen power returning to the civilizations it had consumed across multiple realities. As the wave passed, it left behind a humanity forever changed, but changed on their own terms. Some had chosen to remain mostly human, carrying only traces of quantum enhancement. Others had embraced deeper transformation, becoming bridges between normal spacetime and quantum reality. Each choice was unique, personal, and real. The collective is breaking down across all observed realities, Sentinel Prime reported. Humanity's solution may have finally ended a threat we've fought for millennia. In the quantum core of the Helios station, Kira began the delicate process of separating her consciousness from Arya. The experience had changed them both, creating something new but not losing what made each of them unique. What happens now? Marcus asked, his form stabilizing into his chosen state of quantum resonance. Commander Rodriguez, her military bearing now merged with quantum awareness, smiled. Now we learn who we really are when we're free to choose our own evolution. And we help others make their own choices, Hyro added, his quantum signature carrying echoes of both loss and hope. There will be other threats, other challenges, but we face them as ourselves, whatever we choose that to be. As the Earth continued its orbit through space now filled with new possibilities, Kira looked out at the quantum patterns of reality with new understanding. The parasites had tried to force the next step in human evolution, never realizing that humanity's greatest strength lay not in power, but in the endless potential of choice. Beyond the veil of conventional reality, new frontiers awaited, and humanity would explore them not as victims of forced transformation, but as pioneers of their own destiny, one conscious choice at a time. The stars seemed to shine brighter, witnesses to a species that had proven evolution could be guided by wisdom rather than force, by choice rather than control. In the quantum dance of existence, humanity had found its own unique step, and the universe was richer for it.